There are times when an anime doesn't need a main character to break you. It just needs one side character who feels too real. And side characters usually have one job, that is, to enhance or support the main character. We see this time and time again whenever a side character steps in to become an emotional or moral pillar for the MC. That may be a compass, a stepping stone, or even their reason to keep moving forward. And Tokyo Ghoul's full of side characters you end up caring for. You know, deep down, you just hope they don't meet a bad end. But no other character in this show has had a bigger effect not only on Kaneki, but on me as well. In fact, it got so bad that by the time I was halfway through the first core of season 3, I literally saw a random word that had nothing to do with him, and I instantly remembered everything that happened, like I just went through PTSD. I'm talking about Kaneki's childhood best friend, Hideyoshi Nagachika, or Hide for short. Now, if we compare him to other side characters in the show, he is by far the easiest to understand and get attached to, because we all have best friends, right? Like, Hide was already amazing as a friend from the start. Just the simple fact that he always shows up whenever Kaneki is in the dumps, like in his absolute worst moments, just solidifies how caring and understanding he is. He surpasses that label of best friend and feels more like a brother to Kaneki. But I don't want to overglorify him too much, okay? Because let's be real here. Brody didn't do a lot in the show. Kaneki actually had more meaningful interactions with Hinami and Yoshimura, two people he just met. Well, you know, at least in terms of screen time and emotional context. And in turn, that sidelined Hide for a while. But it's what happened in Route A that still eats me from the inside, and what came after that season. Now, I don't want to take too much time, okay? I could make another whole video on this, but in my honest opinion, season 2 wasn't that great, okay? Like, I wasn't too emotionally invested until maybe around episode 8 or 9. And I did feel like a passenger throughout most of it. And ultimately, that affected how I viewed the final episodes of Route A, for better or for worse. So, why was Hide such an emotionally important side character? Throughout season 1, Hide played the role of preventing Kaneki from losing himself. He ends up being one of the main reasons as to why Kaneki decided to distance himself from the people he cared for. Firstly, with Hide, after he turned into a half ghoul, and with Anteku, due to the threat of Aogiri and the CCG. But then we see in season 2, he had less interactions with Kaneki and Anteku. He was a lot more active in meddling with the CCG, trying to learn more about ghouls, particularly what happened with Kaneki. Now, this would end up being the worst plan because of the risk involved Hide would put himself in. Yet, ironically enough, we do not realize it. Well, in my case, I didn't realize it until he appears on the battlefield during the raid on Anteku. In comes season 2, episode 12. Now, prior to this episode, I was already devastated with another character that I had taken a liking to. Amon. I feel he deserves a separate video, but to sum it all up, he was actually goated. Okay, he was actually freaking goated. So with Amon's death already on my mind, episode 12 began to start. Oddly, it was a mixture of silence and this peaceful atmosphere in the midst of a battlefield. And we watch Kaneki and Hide meet up after a whole season without meeting each other. And they go on having this catching up conversation between them. And honestly, I was oblivious to everything. Because while they were reminiscing about Anteku, one thing was a subtle constant. The dripping blood. Now at first, when you consider the context of Kaneki after his battle with Amon, you'd be fine to assume that it was his blood. But it just kept on going and going. First, small and incremental dripping, then suddenly a large splatter of blood out of nowhere. And it didn't seem right. I mean, the whole time, Kaneki wasn't fazed by the amount of it. And so I ended up thinking, surely bro's body will heal. Because, he's a ghoul. I'm just confused as to why Kaneki is so unfazed by everything. Hide even got himself to have a bit of banter with Kaneki, joking about, his eye patch, saying that, you're probably doing this for the girls. But then his face crunches. We see a shot of his feet as he staggers. His legs, weak, and a drop of blood drips from his wounded side. It wasn't Kaneki bleeding. It was Hide. And for the next few minutes, I sat in front of my screen, in silence, broken as Kaneki carries Hide wrapped in this white cloth. I would keep myself composed even after finishing the episode, as I try to grasp everything that had happened in Route A, but only after reeling in the memory of everything that had happened and then voicing it out did my tears and emotions start welling up. It felt like I was hit by a bullet train, right to my chest. I actually felt like it was hard for me to breathe. It felt like I actually lost somebody important to me. No side character I have ever watched in fiction has made me tear up and broken down than this person who barely had any screen time, rarely got a chance to talk to Kaneki, yet here I am, weeping for this made-up person. For you to truly understand how much that episode affected me, I want to show you a video of my reaction after finishing that episode. He could have done anything else, but he decided to just carry Hide's body. I think that was a very... just... The silence is haunting. It really is. To give you the reason as to why I felt so emotional, to the point where I threw out my sense of reasoning about, in terms of analysis and criticisms of the show, was because of how easy it was to connect with Hide. Like, the world of Tokyo Ghoul is unforgiving and truly cruel. Like, you see it throughout season 1 and season 2. Yet amidst all of that killing, all of the horrors that you see, there was this one person who seems to be beyond the suffering and death. He became a glimmer of hope. That was Hide's symbol. And without me realizing it, the very unassuming side character who Kaneki distanced himself to keep Hide safe became the anchor not only for Kaneki, but for me as well. And subconsciously, knowing that Hide was alive became enough to put me in a state of assurance. But only then, when we lost him, did I realize how much life and the people they loved in this fictional world meant so much that you only truly feel it once they are gone. And the birth of Sasaki didn't make things any better. In fact, it exacerbated those feelings. I mean, the way I saw it, it felt like a memory that was so important, but the show was trying to fade it to obscurity. It may not have been their intention, but that's how I felt. I saw it all. I saw it all. I saw everything that had happened prior to Sasaki. The suffering, the lives lost. Yet why? Season 3 felt like it was trying to forget and move on from those events in Season 2. But I couldn't. I didn't want to. I didn't want the memory of Hide to be forgotten. As I finish writing the script for this video, I've currently finished the first core of Season 3. You know, one moment actually gave me a bit of hope. That maybe Kaneki might remember him. But nothing came out of it. And I still feel that Sasaki will never be like Kaneki. I want to do a video on that as well because, man, Season 3. But who knows? That may change after the second core. Hope you enjoyed this video. You know, this sort of became a memorial for Hide, but honestly, I don't even care anymore. He was sidelined so hard, I barely cared about him, and then out of nowhere, bang. Episode 12 happens, and I'm left I'm left broken. Oh man, I'm so freaking tired. Oh well, I'm still reeling in from those emotions, but I hope the second core does make some kind of, a minor remembrance for Hide. Or at least something that makes his memory live on, even in this fictional world. That's pretty much it for me. I'm Aaron. Have a blessed day, afternoon, evening. I'll see you on the next video. Sayonara.